Oh, geez. Whose turn is it?
I think it's me.
Yeah, I think it's Heather.
All right, Heather. A through Z.
How about P?
I can make that work.
Okay.
So recently, our co-host Jastin here did a burger list, and on it, his number 2 burger was a double quarter pounder.
Yep.
Jastin, what the fuck was this list?
Oh man, you really gotta do this, man. You
Yeah.
really gotta do this. You go hate, and you didn't even provide a list. You just came into the hated and left.
Yeah. I don't need to dignify your bullshit with the response outside of that. I mean, no.
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry. I was getting a bunch of it was sounding super staticky. I don't know why. I don't think you guys could hear it, but I just unplugged my sound plug from my mixer and plugged it back in, and that seems to have fixed it. So I don't know what that was, but it was crazy. I couldn't hear anything. It was just like it was just a static sound. And I did not hear what you said at all. Sorry.
Well, I was saying though, I ain't gonna dignify your bullshit list with an actual response. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and give you the correct answers to your fucked up bullshit. You came with nothing but wrong answers and wanted my ass to bail you the fuck out. I'm not gonna sit there and devote some of my expertise in the subject to come fix your bullshit.
But see, that's your problem. Everything's a debate to you. Everything's a debate, and there's always a right answer, and the right answer is mine. Damn it! But you can't just do a friendly list. Why does there have to be a right or wrong answer? It's my list. Therefore, it is accurate to me because it's my list. My list, my personal list can't be wrong.
It can be.
How? It's my personal list. It's based on my personal taste. It's based on where I can personally go. How can it be wrong?
It's based. It's
mine.
It's based on your memories of these things and not actually doing the work and eating these things. Because Jastin, we've already established that you haven't eaten a Bacon King in what, 2 years? You don't actually remember what it tastes like.
It was good though. What I had.
It was. But Jastin, what if that was the only good Bacon King, or that was the last good Bacon King ever made?
You're not gonna win this. I'm sorry. This is not a debate you can win. You can't say my personal taste in something is wrong. It's just mine. That's
but Jastin, I can challenge the methodology and the research going into this list.
But it's a list of my personal favorites. If I said this is the top 5 best burgers, kind of like that Yoda meme, change my mind or something like that. It was just my 5 favorite fast food burgers. That was it. It wasn't a best burger list. It wasn't these are the best ones you can get at the restaurant. It wasn't anything debatable. It's just your 5 favorites. That's it. There is no wrong answer, Sterling. You're not going to make this a debate. You're not.
But Jastin, like I said, when was the last time you ate any of these? You don't know.
I don't know in the sense of
I'm looking at
I
this
haven't
list.
tried every burger in the world. Yes, I don't know in the sense of that. Could I possibly have another favorite burger that I haven't tried or anything like that? Yes, that is correct. But right now, but I cannot be wrong in this moment in time.
But
it's
no,
just
see,
my 5 favorites, the way I feel. That's it. It can't be wrong, Sterling.
but Jastin, it can be, because what if, like I said, your taste buds change? Roughly the equivalent of every 5 years, your taste buds change. I don't feel like you've had some of these within the last 5 years, Jastin.
But that's the thing about a favorite list. It can change anytime because it's my personal list.
But Jastin,
but it can be right now, and then tomorrow I could have a burger and go, oh man, this is my new favorite, and have a new list. And guess what? That one is correct too, because it's just my personal favorites. I can't be wrong about my personal favorites, Sterling. I can't be inaccurate about that. That's like you looking into my brain and going, Jastin, you are lying about what your favorites are. Can't be wrong about my favorites. It's just a favorite list, Sterling. That's why it's fun. That's why it's okay to list, because you're not listing to win an argument, Sterling. You're just listing your favorites. And I'm looking at other people's favorites going, oh, look, I haven't tried that one. I haven't tried. That was even in the post. List your favorite burger because I want the exact name of the burger because I may try it later. That was the whole point, Sterling. It wasn't to be right. It wasn't to win a debate or start a debate. It was just to put a favorites.
But Jastin, I do feel like you're lying about the Bacon King. I really do feel like you are, because Burger King is nobody's favorite. All of these people are coming on here saying Burger King because they want to just, gargle on some Jastin, because they can't come on here and say something that you might agree with, or otherwise they'll feel bad about themselves. So they come on here and they're like, but what about this, Jastin? Like when somebody said, like, hold on, there was one of these I saw that specifically, I won't say a name, but they come on here.
Quite a few Burger King though. There was quite a few people that had Burger King somewhere on their list. So I was like, I saw quite a bit of BK and I went, ha, yes.
Because they're
doing, it hurt you to see all that
exactly.
BK. I know it did.
They're doing exactly what you did. They're just going, oh yeah, I remember I ate a Burger King once. I guess that's still a thing.
They have some good burgers, Sterling. It's got a different taste to it, man. It's just got a different taste. Sometimes it hits, dog.
It tastes like fraud.
Sometimes it hits.
Like fraud.
You know that BK, that Whopper be hitting sometimes.
That's never, dude, I have not gone to Burger King, honestly, within the last 6 years and gone, man, that hit the spot.
Never, ever?
No. It's always just something weird about it. They always fuck up something.
They do be fucking up though.
And I'm not even talking about
I'm
not even talking about modifications. I'm just talking about like the amounts they'll put on of stuff. Like they'll go, oh man, this guy said no ketchup, just mustard. I won't do the regular amount of mustard. I'll give him quintuple mustard then, because he didn't want ketchup. Like, how about I just want the amount of mustard it comes with? I just don't want ketchup. Like, that to me should be the easiest thing of make it the exact same, just don't squirt the ketchup. Outside that, make it the exact same. And they go, nah, he said no ketchup. Mustard, 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 mustard. Here you go.
No, they do be fucking up.
It's
I've as a matter of fact, I think if I were to do a top 5 list of fast food places to be fucking up the most, Burger King would probably be on that list because I can think of many times, hella times, where my order was messed up. And my order's hella simple. It's like, man, I just want a burger with bacon and cheese only. And there's been so many times where I still got it with lettuce. I still got it with toppings. I still got it. As a matter of fact, the very last time I had Burger King, which was a while ago, it wasn't no 2 years ago, but it was a while ago. But the last time I had it, I wanted just a Bacon King, bacon, cheese only. And then I got one of those little ones, a bacon cheeseburger, whatever they call it. And I was like, I want a bacon cheeseburger, that one the exact same way. But the lady rung it up, and it's like, sometimes you can see it on your receipt that it's rung up wrong and you're like, it's going to come out wrong. Because she just rung up that second burger, but I didn't see any plain. She didn't put plain. It was just bacon cheeseburger. And I went, that one's going to come out wrong. And of course, it did. And it was so simple. It was just 2 burgers. It wasn't even meals. It wasn't nothing, no drink, nothing else. It was just 2 burgers the same way. I still didn't get it right.
And then I hate the marketing behind Burger King too, because they'll sit there and they'll be like, oh man, get the Impossible Whopper. It tastes the exact same as no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
And I actually don't have a problem with Impossible Meats. I think they're fine for what they are.
Yeah, it was fine.
It's fine for what it is.
No.
Quit trying to lie and say like it tastes like meat, though. It doesn't. I'm not going to ever sit there and get confused between a Whopper and an Impossible Whopper.
Yeah, it's hella different.
Yeah. So quit acting like it. Just quit acting like it. Like that's my problem with it. Don't sit there and give me a commercial of these like grizzled 60-year-olds in a Burger King parking lot, because that was the last time that anybody enjoyed Burger King, was those people that have been going there for 60 fucking years. And they're just such creatures of habit. They can't not go to a Burger King to get their little hash brown nuggets and a coffee in the morning. And they sit there and they try to act like that's a real taste test when they're like, try this. And they're like, oh, it's a good Whopper. And they're like, but what if I told you it's not actually meat? And they're like, what? It tastes the exact same as a Whopper. No, it doesn't. The only time an Impossible Whopper tastes like a Whopper is if you haven't eaten a Whopper in 5 years and you forgot what a Whopper tastes like. And you're like, okay, yeah, sure, I guess this is a Whopper. And then you actually eat a Whopper after it and you go, oh, no, that's a Whopper. Yeah, that one was obviously not. Just when you don't remember what a Whopper tastes like. And also, I can't trust a place that their default condiment on a burger is ketchup. The fuck is this? I don't like it.
It's too traditional for you?
No, that's the thing, is it's not. Traditional fucking topping is mustard.
Oh, is it?
If you go back,
I always thought it was
to
ketchup.
The first fucking burgers that were served in New Haven, Connecticut, guess what? It was with fucking mustard. It's also on slices of white bread, but we're not getting into that. But still, it was fucking mustard. That restaurant, the restaurant that is credited with the invention of the American hamburger as we know it now, does not allow ketchup at their restaurant because it is an abomination in the eyes of God.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I always thought it was ketchup.
No. A traditional burger, like back in the day, there used to be like a little song, like a little ditty that they did with it. It was back in the day, but it was like, it's mustard, pickles, onions. Mustard, pickles, onions. It was like the traditional burger topping. And from there, everybody, I don't know, people got on this weird fucking psychosis. This mental just detriment to society of putting ketchup on things and just started fucking up burgers across the land.
Damn. Honestly, when I tried it for the first time with ketchup, I think that was like enough for me. I was like, I don't really like them with ketchup. I came to that conclusion quickly as a child. Like, I don't like it as much with ketchup. As a matter of fact, ketchup, a lot of times, I used it to kind of help the taste of something that I didn't like as much.
Ketchup's
That's
a cover up.
really what I would use ketchup for.
Yeah. Ketchup.
I used to do that a lot as a kid.
Cover up. Nobody adds it because they're just like, oh, I need the taste of ketchup. They're like, oh, I need the taste of ketchup to cover up this thing I don't like.
Yeah. You know what? Now that we're talking about it, I used to do that a lot with ketchup. That's what I used ketchup for.
Back in the day, you know what I used ketchup for the most?
Drowned it in this shit.
I used to use ketchup the most with homemade chicken nuggets back in the day. Or like they were the frozen store-bought chicken nuggets that you would bake in the oven for a little while.
Mm.
You know, because they never tasted right.
Nope.
We have better nugget technology now. They can do better at home nuggets now, especially with the adventation or the spread of the use of the air fryer. You know, you can make better nuggets at home than you used to. But man, back in the day, nuggets were garbage, man. You ever get like in your head as a kid and you're just like, oh man, I want some McDonald's chicken nuggets. This is going to be fantastic. I want some chicken nuggets. And your mom's like, oh yeah, we have chicken nuggets at home. And you instantly just went, I don't want chicken nuggets anymore.
Yep. All the time.
Yeah, they're not the same. Or when you go to somebody's house and they're like, hey, we're going to have nuggets. And it's just, they're just never the same. They always just made me wish I had McDonald's nuggets or some other nugget that I like. You know, it always, they never tasted like those. And yeah, you wind up just getting hella barbecue sauce or ketchup or whatever, and just, you needed to eat them. Well, like that's how it was.
It was just, hey, give me all the condiments. I just need one of them to drown this shit out.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They were just always weird. You remember, like, because you'd have that one bite that was crispy, but you'd have the next bite that was soggy, and it's all connected. It's all the same nugget. How am I getting these variations of crust consistency on something that's like, you know, an inch big? I'd understand if it's something big, you know, you have different temperatures and like, you know, things like that, but something that small.
Or like they would miraculously just not hardly have any taste to them. Like it was like I could taste a little bit of nugget, but I don't know how to describe that, but like it's almost like the taste was faint. Like it wasn't quite, I don't know if it's the breading, I don't know what it was, but it just didn't. It was almost like it just barely tasted like anything. I would taste a little nugget and then it'd just be gone. Like I can't describe it.
It would be that, or it would be just that weird home nugget taste that would be overpowering. Because you would also get that where it's just that weird, that like you're like, technically this is a chicken flavor, I guess, but it's not the chicken flavor I like, and it's just all that.
Yeah.
But all that to say, all these Burger King motherfuckers just be lying. And dude, I'm not gonna lie, man, on some of these people's like posts, dude, I hella worry about their cholesterol, my man. They're just like every burger bacon. I got to get that quadruple bacon burger where it's 5 times the amount of bacon and twice the beef patties. Like, your cardiologist hates you.
Is that what a Baconzilla is? Is that what the Checkers Baconzilla, is that what that is? Hella bacon?
It is. It's just hella bacon. Not always the best bacon, but it's just hella bacon. And with some of these, like this one person was just like, I'm offended that you have no Texas burger. Which Texas burger's fine. I'm not trying to disagree. It's fine. But Jastin, you did mention the best item they have at Texas Burger, which is the steak fingers.
The steak fingers.
The steak fingers are the superior option there. Like,
yeah, like for real. And that gravy goes hard, man. Like, I don't know why you would be going there and getting a burger. I mean, I know it's called Texas Burger and all. And, you know, the burger is large and the bread is kind of toasted. Yeah. They used to put that jalapeno. I wasn't a fan of that.
Yeah.
I wasn't really a fan of that. And that might be the reason why it wasn't a favorite of mine. That jalapeno just threw me off. I'm not a jalapeno person.
I will say this. They do a jalapeno burger. You can get it 2 different ways. You can get it where they actually just like put the jalapenos all over the burger like a traditional one. But you can also get, they used to do like a jalapeno spread, which just was like cooked jalapenos that they just kind of made into a mash, and they would smear that on the burger. Now that was a delightful way to eat a jalapeno cheeseburger, because if you like jalapenos at least, because like you got like this base level of jalapeno in every bite. It's fantastic. But the thing is, I'd still probably get the steak fingers. I mean, you get that Texas toast and that gravy.
Man.
God,
that gravy's so good.
It's like when everybody wants to sit there and talk about like Dairy Queen. Like, no, don't get me wrong. Nobody's putting Dairy Queen's burgers on a fucking list of good burgers. Nobody's putting that Hunger Buster on there.
Yeah.
But man, a steak finger country basket?
Yep. Steak finger country basket.
I'd get down on that.
I love those.
And see, so I know, Heather, you don't know about Texas Burger because it is more regional to the Midland, Odessa area. But I mean, steak finger country basket, it's like a slightly better version of the Dairy Queen. It's the same thing. It's just good ass steak fingers, good ass Texas toast with some gravy and some fries.
Oh yeah, but that was my go-to order at Dairy Queen every time. Like, I just had to get that every time. So I love that at Dairy Queen. So I imagine Texas Burger, you know, if it's as good as Dairy Queen or better, then yeah, I get the hype.
Yeah. Those were the things that I liked the most at Texas Burger, was the steak fingers and the ice cream. The shakes or whatnot are respectable too. They have some good desserts.
If I'm thinking right,
and the burger,
the equivalent of it, Heather, would be like a Culver's when it comes to like the dessert side of it, something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I do want to try a burger at that Culver's place because I didn't last time.
You got the
day
chicken
after I got demoed.
Yeah, you got the chicken.
So I got the chicken.
You got the chicken and the broccoli.
Yeah.
See, well, Culver's is one of those weird places because their best burger is a butter burger. So that's a Wisconsin version of a burger. Essentially, they're taking the Illinois smash burger, which, yes, America, the smash burger traces its roots to Illinois. So you're welcome. But what they'll do with the smash burger is they throw a little bit of butter on it at the end. I'm not talking about like cooking it in butter. No. Once it's cooked, they'll put a little bit of butter on there to melt into it. So she's got a butteriness to it all. Yeah. Cardiologist nightmare, but is it delicious?
Sounds delicious.
Yes. But then you can get that with a side of steamed broccoli. They'll let you do any of that. They're insane. Their chicken is very good though. Their chicken tenders are very good. I know you're not big on it, Jastin, but man, they've got this Frank's Red Hot buffalo sauce. Oh, it's so good. It is Frank's Red Hot buffalo. Oh, it's just a good chicken tender dip. It's just so good. And the cheese curds, delicious pretzel bites. I'll never turn down a pretzel bite. I am one of those weird Germans. God, I eat an unhealthy amount of pretzels. Oh, God.
What's the pretzel to bagel ratio?
Oh, I'll take a pretzel anytime over a bagel.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, I like a good bagel. But man, you give me a pretzel with some mustard? Ooh, just sign me up. I'm just happy as shit at that point. I really don't give a fuck what else is going on. I got some pretzel and some mustard. I'm set.
You remember that, Jastin, when you came here last time and we got some really good pretzels with like a mustard dipping sauce with it? Where we went, it was, yeah. I remember Sterling being like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't had anything pretzel that I don't like. Like even in candy, like the Reese's cup with the pretzel in it is pretty good. The pretzel burger that they had at Wendy's for a little bit.
A pretzel bun.
That wasn't even that bad.
Ooh. See, but that's one thing that pisses me off about like Wendy's is they'll do the Baconator pub burger, which is a pretzel bun Baconator. Good, fine, everything. But then the condiments that come on it are fucking ketchup and mayo. Fuck right off.
Yeah.
You're doing.
Yeah, what are you doing?
A pretzel burger. You put it with fucking mustard or nothing.
Yeah.
I get if you don't want anything, but if you're putting any fucking condiment on there, it's fucking mustard. And I'm not even saying that because I'm on my mustard is a better condiment bullshit. I'm saying it because it's on a fucking pretzel bun. Like, so you get a pretzel burger. So mustard and burger is already a good known traditional combination, and pretzel and mustard is a good known combination. Why the fuck wouldn't you just put the most natural of burger on pretzel bun combinations out there? Why are we pretending that it needs some other condiment?
Yeah, you don't want any ketchup on that. Don't do that, guys. You don't want ketchup on that. Not on that.
Oh, I can't think of anything that'd be more disgusting than dipping a pretzel in some ketchup and some Red Cat. Oh.
Even like the good ketchups, that's just ill-advised. I don't care if it's Whataburger spicy ketchup or any of them, even the good ketchups that you like. I don't think I could handle that.
And that's how you know something is a good ketchup, is if I will eat a tiny bit of it. Like, as much as I love Whataburger, and everybody loves Whataburger ketchup, about 90% of all my Whataburger meals are still eaten without the ketchup. I still don't eat it with the ketchup. I'm just fine eating my fries. If you really want something amazing to dip your fries in, even if you get a burger, order a side of gravy too. Because that's some good shit.
That is good. Yep, that is good.
But but every once in a while, I'll just be like, oh yeah, I'll have some Whataburger ketchup, and I'll dip like half my fries in it, and I'll still eat the other half plain. Like, because I'm like, oh, it's good ketchup. I'll have a little. I still can't eat that much. And all these restaurants trying to act like they're reinventing ketchup. Oh, we've got a cherry pepper balsamic ketchup. Fuck off. You've got a bunch of fucking shit you added to a bottle of Heinz. Fuck off. No, but, and see, and that's what I love about mustard, because you do have some legit fancy mustards. You get a nice stone ground or a spicy brown or any of these things. But also, if you go to a restaurant and they just give you a little bit of that French's, it's still good. Still fine with that. I might have to go get some pretzels tomorrow. Just pretzel and mustard day.
Man, cheat day might have to be steak fingers, dog.
See, of all the things that everybody was like, Sterling, where are you going to get your Tex-Mex from? Where are you going to get your Mexican food from when you move up to the third most populous city in the United States? Where are you going to find these well-known and regarded foods? What nobody did prepare me for is the severe lack of steak fingers that exists up here. Apparently, steak fingers do not cross the Mason-Dixon line.
That's a surprise.
I don't get it. Everybody's got chicken fingers up here. Where the fuck are my steak fingers?
I think even at the, like, because up here there's a few Dairy Queens around, and even they don't have steak fingers on their menu.
That I looked.
Why is that a country thing?
No,
is that what it is?
I did look into this. Like the chicken finger country baskets, the steak finger country baskets, those items and stuff like that are specific to Texas. When it comes to Dairy Queen, they've got two different models of things. You literally have restaurants in Texas and you have restaurants anywhere else in the country. And they do have different menu items.
Okay.
Interesting.
But
as far as steak fingers, why would that be scarce in Chicago?
I have no idea.
Is it because of is that more of a country themed thing?
It could be.
And because y'all are city, it's more like not.
I mean,
maybe it's not considered really like a delicacy that city people want. I don't know. I just thought that was
country
weird,
fried steak is mainly a breakfast thing here. There's not a lot of country fried steak dinners outside of, like, you know, a Denny's or something like that. You can go to most breakfast places and get a steak, and get a country fried steak breakfast, like a country fried steak and eggs, you know, which I totally get. That's one of my favorite breakfast meals, is a country fried steak and eggs. But yeah, dude, it's just steak fingers, just nowhere. Nobody wants a nice portable and dippable form of country fried steak. I don't get it.
Just very interesting. I even thought maybe there would even be just a few, even if it was just a few, I thought there might be like some Texas themed places or country themed places that might have it, but I guess not.
If it's a Texas themed thing up here, it's a steakhouse or it's a barbecue joint.
Okay.
When it comes to a country themed restaurant, you know, got a Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, that's probably it, huh? That's probably the closest y'all have to that. That's probably it.
I need to text or like to tweet at the writers of The Bear and just have them like make steak fingers on The Bear, and they'll probably end up in a restaurant after that.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, look, like, can you help me bring steak fingers to Chicago, please? Like, just put them in a restaurant, or have Carney make them for family meal or something. Just so some asshat will make them up here.
I support this.
Yeah. Steak fingers are tight.
All right, that's all I had. You guys just want to wrap it up? We can talk about a movie. We don't have to. We just spent 35 minutes talking about burgers and steak fingers. So
I know now I'm all hungry and ish.
I am going to eat probably a pumpkin pie yogurt after this.
Well, if we're going to end it, give me one of your favorite burgers. Both of you. One. Just one.
No, it was
fast food.
it was mentioned.
Just one.
It was mentioned. It's a green chili double.
Okay.
See, my thing is, I am that person that typically just modifies something, so I don't like have the name of the burger. But I mean, my favorite is just like a plain or a cheeseburger from Whataburger with mayo. That's my favorite. Yeah, that's kind of the problem, because I was thinking about making that list and like sending it, but then I was like, I always just modify everything. So like, I don't know the names of it because I just modify and just say, I just want this. Please, how do you just make this for me? So yeah, I just don't know names of burgers.
No, I get that. You want it to be the exactly this way. So you're not.
I'm
even
unfortunately
thinking about
that
the name
person.
Or it's not like you're not going there to get a specific like type of burger. It's not like you're like, oh, I want a Big Mac. When you want a burger, you just want a burger with those specifications that
exactly. Like if I
always get.
I do like from McDonald's. I like the quarter pounder, so I'll do like a quarter pounder with cheese and mayo only. Like I that's the only thing I want on it. You know what I mean? So it's like always the name of it, but modified. So that's unfortunately just me and my being super plain with all my foods. Because when you said you wanted whatever that burger was, and you're just like, just the bacon and the whatever you said, where it was just that's all you wanted. I was like, yeah, I get it. That's like exactly what I do every time. I just want cheese, and that's pretty much it. Sometimes I'll do bacon and cheese. Bacon cheeseburger is always a solid choice, but I typically that's the only thing I get on it if I do it.
Yeah, and I am a bacon person. I am a bacon you know how your parents used to say, if you keep eating that, you'll turn into it. I would have turned into bacon by now, because I loves me some bacon. I don't care, anytime's a good time. But on a burger, 9.5 out of 10, I'm trying to get a burger with bacon on it. You know?
And I like bacon, and I'm a huge breakfast person, but oddly enough, I typically like would prefer bacon in my burgers as opposed to just a side of bacon with my breakfast.
Yeah, like a side of bacon.
Yeah,
I get that.
Somehow. It's good, but if I order bacon specifically, it's typically like a bacon cheeseburger.
Yeah, it's just really good on a burger. The only risk is I like it crispy. I don't like it when it's gummy, not burnt crispy like that, but you know what I mean? Like, I like it to have a bit of a crunch. I like it when it's got, some crisp to it. I don't like it when it's rubbery.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not as cooked. I mean, I can eat that, but on a burger, I just, but there's something about when I get it and it's just that perfect crisp, man. It's just the best. And I'm just like, yeah, dude. But no, I totally get those specifications. I don't like a lot of stuff on my burgers either. I get it.
Good to know. I'm not alone.
Yeah, I'm very easy. See, the funny thing is, when it comes to burgers, for me is, like I said, I don't eat ketchup on a burger. I don't. Like, that's just something I do not do. So 9 times out of 10, if I am doing a modification to a burger, it is removing ketchup. That's typically it. outside of that, I don't really. Yeah. I eat most burgers the way they come.
Okay. So you like it with pretty much all the vegetables on it, the lettuce, tomato, whatever it comes with, you're never going to remove that stuff. You're always going to eat.
But that's the thing is
that
sometimes
stuff, just ketchup.
Yeah, but even then, most of the time when I order a burger, like when going on your list, Jastin, the regular cheeseburgers at McDonald's, and I'm including the double or the triple or the McDouble, just the regular cheese, that lineup, if you will. Yeah, I'll order one of those, no ketchup. Because after that, it becomes almost like the perfect style of burger for me. Because it's mustard, pickles, onions. You have those three things on a burger for me, I'm probably going to give you like a 7 out of 10 just as a base score. Because I'm like, that's just a base level burger to me. Like that's like when you want to talk about like a burger home, that flavor profile of pickles, mustard, onions, and cheese on a burger, and it is American cheese. Fuck off with all this other stuff. The menu, the menu is right. The reason why American cheese works so well on burgers is because it doesn't fucking split. So get all your fancy fucking cheeses the fuck out of here. There is an actual purpose to American cheese, and that's going on an American goddamn cheeseburger. So fuck off. But like, you get that flavor profile, I'm typically fine. As long as you just don't give me like a boiled beef patty at that point, like, I'm going to be okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if you give that to me on an untoasted bun, whilst not preferred, I'm fine. I'm still going to go, cheeseburger. Yeah, I'm real simple with that shit. And that's one of the few things I don't like making modifications to food. It's the number one modification to any food item I make is just removing fucking ketchup. The bane of my fucking existence. Anyway. You guys ready to blink twice?
Let's do it.
I think that was Jastin blinking twice. I don't know. It kind of looked like he had a little mini seizure.
Yeah, I was.
It's like it's either that or he's fluttering his eyelashes at me.
Somebody will listen to me. Nobody knows anything but you. All right. Are you ready? Yes. Come on.
Cinema Slayers.
Hey, Cinefans, and welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Slayers podcast. I'm Sterling, and as always, I'm joined by Heather and Jastin. And tonight we're going to talk about what we liked, didn't like, and everything in between with the new-ish movie, Blink Twice. We will go spoiler-free recommendations and scores, and then into a more spoiler-centric section with time codes in the description to allow you to jump around if you so require. And with all that, our resident blinker, I guess. Jastin, what are your spoiler-free thoughts about Blink Twice?
Resident blinker. I mean, I guess, like, I can't really say I didn't love this. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I guess I'm kind of floating somewhere in the middle with it. Like, I don't think it's a bad film. Um, the way I'm talking probably sounds like it is, but I mean, I don't think it's a bad movie. I just don't think it's like great or anything. I just sort of came out and was like, okay, that was fine. That was cool. I mean, I definitely think there are some times where the movie has its moments. Um, it did keep me guessing, and I was intrigued about what was happening and following the story and everything like that. So there was never a point where I just completely lost interest or I felt like it was boring or anything like that. So I thought that Zoe Kravitz, the director here, which this is her first movie, right? I think so. This is like a first movie.
Yeah, directing,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. And it felt like it because there are times where I'm like, man, that was a good moment, or man, that was well shot, or that was that was well done. So I can definitely see that Kravitz has some talent, and I hope that she continues to do this. And I mean, I'm sure she will. And I can't wait to see where she goes with directing, because there's definitely some talent here. But also the double-edged sword of it being your debut is that it's your first one. And so there are parts where I feel like the story, I feel like the style of this, the parts that are really buttoned up are the shooting, the cinematography, the style, the casting was good. Some of the camera angles and everything like that. A lot of technical parts of this are good. But what isn't tight knit, I feel, is the story. I feel like when it all came together, I still had some questions about some things. The ending, wow, on some levels, it's kind of cool. And it's like, yeah, she did that. There are parts though, but still, like when you think about it, it's not very logical. I think what happens, like I'm questioning, so there are parts, and then with the story, it's the same thing with the story. What happens is pretty intriguing and crazy, and it's a trip to watch. But logically, though, you don't feel like everything makes complete sense. Like it doesn't fully feel like this is something that without question could happen without there being certain, like, what's a better way to say this? I'm not saying that what happened is stupid or illogical, like it's dumb, but I'll put it this way. Maybe this is a better way of putting it. But there are definitely some things. There would have been some objections. There would have been some issues. There would have been some things that would have come up that in order for people to realistically do this, and those things never come up because for the sake of having the story and having the movie. I think that makes sense. There are things that obviously would happen or would come up or could happen, and they just don't because the movie needs to movie. And
are you saying that they almost in a way over rely on the MacGuffin, if you will?
Yes, maybe that's a better way of putting it. A real easy, simple way of putting it. They rely so much on the MacGuffin, but there are these obvious things where you're like, okay, well, wouldn't this happen? Or what about this? Or what about that? But yes, because of the MacGuffin, the MacGuffin is expected to just sort of explain everything away, and it doesn't. It just doesn't. So there are story issues and problems that don't all add up. So for those reasons, I can't say that it's a great film, but I'll but I'll go ahead and say I might be in the camp of saying it's a decent one. It's a good one. It's a fine one. It's a passable one. Like, the acting is good enough. Channing Tatum did a great job. Naomi Aki, who plays Frida in this, she did a great job too. I mean, she really has to drive the film, and I believe that she did that. I mean, I thought was great in this. And there were some supporting actors and actresses that also did well, played to their parts, did what they were supposed to, everything like that. So those are, I think, what compensate for a story that isn't as tight knit, but the characters and what's happening is entertaining enough to, I think, get you through. And then just with Kravitz's talent, there are some genuinely like creepy moments. There are some genuinely like moments where you're questioning, okay, what's going on here? Or what is this? Or what is that? And the movie is kind of fun to try to piece together what is being, and if you've seen some previews of this, you know that people start forgetting and stuff like that. So the fun of it, I think, is really you trying to piece together what was forgotten, what actually happened, what do we know, what do we not know, things like that. And when the movie has you in that state, it is a lot of fun. It is intriguing in that way. But I just think ultimately, if the story was a little more tighter, if you didn't rely so much on the MacGuffin, if the script was a little sharper and a little smarter, I probably would have enjoyed it more. But I just think that there are some obvious holes, and we didn't address those holes because how could you? How could you unless you sort of had it in the plan to do those things? And we kind of didn't, so we didn't. We just decided not to address. So it loses quality points for that. But overall, I wasn't mad at it. I didn't feel like it was a waste of my time. I just think it's one of those kind of, man, I hate to say forgettable. I don't feel like it's trash, but I do feel like it is one of those movies that I just wonder if it's gonna get lost in the shuffle amongst, I don't know if it's stand out enough. It is different though from a lot of the movies you have in the field. The psychological thriller kind of memory thing. It reminded me a little bit of Memento, but I don't. But don't dig too much into that comparison because Memento is a fantastic fucking movie. That's like a fantastic version of this shit. This, not so much. It very much felt like a first-time director trying to do Memento. I think that might be the best way to say it. Like, it felt like a first-time director with those skills trying to do a film like Memento where you just had much more skill, much more sharper of a story. It was a little bit more memorable. You know what I mean? Than this. But overall, it was okay. I had a decent enough time. But yeah, not a great movie, in my opinion.
Heather, what about you?
I agree about the fact that, there's some holes. Like, it's not 100% like, oh, every single thing fell in place for you to 100% understand and make sense for the story. I do agree with that. And I think really the problem that this movie is going to suffer, unfortunately, is it's, at least in my opinion, I think it's unfortunately going to lose its magic after you watch it once. Like it's one of those where, you know, like
that.
you know what I mean? Like you'll enjoy it because it's like that. You don't know what you're about to see and what's about to happen and all these things. But then once the whole movie is revealed and the movie's over, on a rewatch, it's not necessarily going to have the same effect as it does that first time that you watch it, which I think is the case with a lot of like mystery thriller type of films. But I think that this is just one of those where it's very specific in the type of thing that it does show you in the film, that it's not like but you could go back and see clues and hints and things like that that's going to lead you to what the mystery ends up being. I don't think that this is going to have a lot of that on a rewatch. That being said, I actually really enjoyed this movie. I think it was well done. I think Zoe Kravitz took a lot of risks and was very bold in the things that she decided to put in this film. I think it's jarring, but jarring in a good way, or like in an exciting way, for lack of a better word, I guess. But like, I just think that it was so captivating for me. I feel like I was captivated the whole time, because you know something crazy is about to happen in this movie and you don't quite know what it is. And when you find out what it is, you're just taken aback and it's jarring. But I think that it was still a very like intriguing story, because it's just fascinating to be like, how are these things happening? How are they getting away with certain things and all this other stuff? And I think that is why, for me, I liked it for the most part, is because I'm just like, this is like a ballsy movie. And I just think that for the most part, it's done really well. I think the acting is great. I think Naomi Ackie is stellar as the lead in this movie. And I think Channing Tatum is fantastic. And I could say probably 5 years ago, that's not something I ever thought I would say about Channing Tatum's acting. But I've changed my tune since then. And especially with this one, I honestly think this might be his best performance, or at least one of them. It's definitely up there if it's not his best performance, in my opinion. I think he did a great job. I think he was everything that he needed to be for the character he played. A lot of the supporting cast was great. And I think that's also part of it too. I liked the characters that she drew and fleshed out here. You know, there's still mystery to some of them. You don't really get backstory or fleshed out for all of them, but you don't really need that. You get it for the ones that you feel like you need it for in this movie. And I want to say her name is Adria. I think it's pronounced Erhauna. The one that plays the other kind of supporting lead girl in this movie. I thought she was fantastic. I really
Sarah,
like what they did.
Yeah.
Sarah, yeah, I think that
she
what
was
they
good.
did with her character was great. And it's just, I would say it's just not, in my opinion, I don't think it was predictable. It was not like I was going to be like, yep, knew that was coming, you know, specifically. You know, certain things are going to happen, but you don't know the specifics. And I think that they did a good job of being like, cool, didn't see that happening, didn't see this coming, didn't see myself liking or disliking this character or that character. And I like that. I like that kind of keeps you on your toes in this film. At least it did for me. So I think that there were a lot of really good elements. Was it the most cohesive, gelled together? No. But especially for it being Zoe Kravitz's first movie that she's directed and written, I've definitely seen directors have worse first movies. So I think that if this is her first one, like, I can imagine just when she's a little bit more experienced with it, she can make some incredible films. So yeah, I mean, and I didn't love this movie, but I did like it. I think I enjoyed the ride. I think it was entertaining throughout, and like, they were great at building tension. I think that the attention building was excellent. And yeah, like I was from like the first scene and the first opening, everything, like I was involved. I was in it and I was never bored. I was never not just like, what is about to go down? And like, yeah, I appreciated that she did those elements well, because in a mystery thriller type of movie, that can be really hard to do because it's been done so many times in other movies. You can feel like, oh, this is going to be a predictable thriller mystery movie. And I don't think it was. So props to her for that. I think it was well shot. The story itself, of course, is interesting and different. She did something different here for sure. But yeah, I for the most part, I really enjoyed this movie. Yeah, that's all I got for now.
For the most part, I guess I'm where you guys are. I liked it, didn't love it. I think where Zoe Kravitz truly succeeded in this movie was the sense of style she brought to the film. It has a unique look and feel throughout the movie that just adds a nice flavor to the mystery elements we get. She's very good at matching the cinematography with the mood she's going for. That's something that, some filmmakers can't do. Where I guess I do agree with you guys the most is narratively, that's where this movie suffers. The main plot contrivance that this has, the MacGuffin, if you will, that just plot device that makes it go, or they're kind of wildly inconsistent with it. At times it does one thing, at times it does another, at another time in the movie it does this, and it's kind of like, well, what is it? You need a more centered through line with that. And I think if they had really kind of shored up their rules when it comes to this, I think it would have like forced them to write some of the other elements in a more clear manner that would have allowed for a more successful and more narratively satisfying film in the end. Now, one of the things, though, I will say is, especially for a first-time director, first-time writer, a mystery movie is typically not what you want to do. Because what is one of the things that mystery stories end up doing, especially when people are inexperienced? They lie to the audience. This one doesn't completely. I will give it that. It is almost impossible to solve, and that is the plot device that causes that, which makes it unsatisfying. As a mystery goes, it's not completely satisfying because you cannot predict the mechanism in which it's working completely. And you can't really predict the antidote to it. Very weird in that regard. But outside of that, I do think it works fairly well with what they do give you. I mean, it's not, it's not a Knives Out mystery, but it's also not Last Night in Soho. It's a more satisfying movie. Like, if I get tricked in a, Rian Johnson Knives Out mystery movie. Okay. You outsmarted me. Fair enough. When you trick me because you literally lied to me for an entire movie, that's some bullshit. This movie doesn't do that. It just kind of has an impossible solve, which is fine. Just like I said, ultimately not satisfying, or not as satisfying, I should say. You know, because you get some theories, and then when you're like, whenever it's all said and done and revealed, you're just like, okay, you brought that out of left field, but you know, is what it is. But like I said, at least Zoe didn't lie to us. Zoe and her co-writer E.T., I think is E.T. Feinbaum. Yeah, at least they didn't lie to us. I'll give them that. They did not lie. They might have made some impossible things, but they didn't lie. And one thing that I didn't hear you guys mention that I was actually one of the more stylistic things that I truly loved in this movie. I loved the sound of Channing Tatum's vape. Because that's not really how they sound. It's a lot more crackly than they typically are, at least in my experience. But it was a really cool sound design choice in my mind. Like when I heard it, just was a weirdly satisfying sound throughout the film. I just thought it was a really cool choice. A little thing, you know. Recommendations and scores?
Yep.
Recommendations and score.
What you got, Heather?
I'm fully aware that this movie is not going to be for everyone. There's going to be a lot of people that find it too controversial or too hard to watch and things like that. They do give you a trigger warning for some of the things that happen in this movie. So it's not going to be for everybody. But if those are things that you are okay watching about, the things that are discussed, the subject matter, the content of it, if you like thrillers, that type of thing, I do think it's worth a watch. I do think it was a unique, different kind of thriller in a way. And I appreciated what she brought to the table with this film altogether. My biggest complaints are really going to be, aside from the fact that, you know, plot holes that don't really fully do the job. I don't care totally for the ending and the rewatchability factor. I just know for myself is like gonna be not really up there as a rewatch for me, just because it's such a specific type of mystery thriller. Like I was saying before, that it's going to lose the magic of the intensity and everything going on after the first watch, probably. So I think because of that, you know, unfortunately, I mean, there's, for example, kind of like you talked about Knives Out earlier, I could watch that movie over and over again. And even if you know what's happening, you just still love how the mystery unfolds and appreciate all of that. This one is so specific that I don't think the rewatchability factor is going to be as high on this type of thriller. All of that being said, again, I did enjoy this movie for the most part. And I think it was intriguing and different. And I really think that for the people that it is for, it's really going to be for them, if that makes sense. So it's a very like niche group, I think, that will really love this film. And I'm happy about that because I really like what Zoe Kravitz did. I like that she reached for something a little bit different and a little bit uncomfortable, but she told a good story overall, even with those challenges of, knowing what this movie actually ultimately becomes about. But my overall score, I'm going to give it 78 lighters that continue going missing out of 100.
What about you, Jastin?
Yeah, I too think that it's good enough to recommend. Like, really, the just kind of what Sterling was saying, or really we've all said it, but the main weakness is just some of the narrative. And it's not even like all the narrative. It's not like the story doesn't make sense or anything. It's just certain choices, certain liberties, certain things that are done. So when you add it all up together, we get to the finish line. But it's almost like you just wish, but you could see where the ride could have been smoother. You can see where just maybe we if we would have just made a couple of different decisions or expounded on a few things here and there, it might have been even better than what it was. But the movie does arrive to where it needs to arrive. So, it's kind of, it'll probably be easier to talk about specific scenes and spoilers, but just trying to say it generally, that's probably the best way I can put it. It's just that it's not that the story is bad or anything. It's just that it's got these nagging things that it does and sort of these little nagging flaws, but it doesn't, but even with those things, it doesn't really take away from all of the things that it does effectively. And we've talked about them, the acting, the sense of style, the look of this. It is a fun mystery to unravel the first time. Like you said, Heather, and I think I do agree with you. This would be harder to watch the second time. Just because when you already know what's happening and you already know the mystery, and because of, like Sterling was talking about, kind of the way that it wraps up and the fact that there was no way to really figure that out yourself, it's kind of one of those endings where you kind of mysteries where you get to the end and it's sort of solved for you. I talked about this when we did, what was the name of that guy? The one mystery movie with a haunting in
A Haunting in Venice.
In Venice, that's what.
The Hercule Poirot.
Yes, Poirot. That was the name I was looking for. Poirot. Like in that movie, I kind of had a similar complaint. Like you get to the end and I wanted to figure it out myself, but you kind of have to. But you kind of get the answer, and this is kind of in a similar fashion. So rewatching it again, you wouldn't be watching it for the kind of the thrill of the mystery or unraveling it or figuring out or going, oh man, that these clues were here this whole time. It's not really that kind of movie, like Knives Out or like I mentioned, Memento. And this just, I keep thinking of Memento, I guess, because of the whole forgetting things and we're forgetting things and then having to racking our brain, having to piece things together. And then we forget a little bit and we remember something and we forget and we remember. So it just sort of it's not the same as Memento at all, but it sort of reminds me of it. But even in that movie has hella rewatchability because you can go back and look at specific scenes and parts and go, oh man, look, that right there, this was the beginning and this is when this happened and he forgot this and now, but you can see it's happening here. Like that movie's fun to rewatch and piece together. This one, not so much. I think if you were rewatching this one, you'd be rewatching it for like performances and stuff, like, and just scenes that you thought were effective. And there are a couple of like dinner table scenes and stuff like that that are entertaining. So I think that's where the rewatchability would come from. But even that, it's not like the performances are so great or so memorable or the lines are so quotable that you'll be coming back for that all the time. At least I don't think it is. Maybe somebody out there might think different, but I didn't see it that way. So yeah, I think I agree with you about the rewatchability of this. It definitely works better the first time. The first time is definitely the best time because when you're in it trying to figure it out, that's the movie really leans on that feeling with you. And that's how it gets through the scenes, and that's how it makes the scenes tension filled. And that's how she does all these interesting visuals because she's playing on you not knowing. And it's so much better. She's good at playing with you when you don't know. But when you do know, yeah, it feels like it'd be an entirely sort of different experience watching it the second time. But it's entertaining enough. It was well made enough. And it's shot well enough. And it's good. And it's a good enough film to where I think if you're a mystery person, it's not a bad mystery film. It's not a terrible mystery film. If you like mystery films, I mean, I'm not saying you'll like it as much as A Haunted in Venice or Knives Out, but I mean, I think you would like it. I don't think you would walk away from this and hate it, right? Like maybe you might argue those movies are superior, but you wouldn't necessarily hate this. Like,
hey,
so I
it's
think
no
mystery
Last
fans
Night in
would-
Soho.
Yeah, exactly. It's no Last Night in Soho. Like you said, where you feel completely lied to. So I think she did a respectable job here. And for it to be her first directed film and to take on the challenge of a mystery film like this, it does feel like a big challenge. And for the most part, she succeeded, and showcase that she really does have some talent behind the camera. I think that if you don't walk away with anything, you walk away with at least that. Like, this is not a person who doesn't have talent. This is definitely somebody who does. And you can't wait to see what other visions she tries to bring to life. So yeah, go check it out. We'll give it 70 Red Rabbit painted fingernails out of 100.
I'm kind of in the middle of both of you. I liked it more than you, Jastin. I liked it a tad less than Heather. I think this movie has some rewatchability. And with that, I mean, to be fair, am I ever going to be like, I need to sit down and watch Blink twice? Probably not. But if somebody hadn't seen it, or it, you're doing like a get together and you're like, oh, let's figure it out. And you do like one of our, something like I do sometimes where it's like a spin a wheel type of thing. And you're like, oh, and it like lands on Blink twice or whatever. I'm like, okay. I think there are contextual reasons to watch it again and be okay with it. I just might not actively seek out the rewatching of Blink twice. I'll probably still buy it when it comes out though, just in case.
And I agree. I think that's a little bit more what I mean. Like, it's not that I wouldn't watch it again, but yeah, it's just more of like, I don't think I'd actively seek out being like, I really need to see this movie again. Like, especially because I do enjoy like watching other people watch something for the first time. Like if I introduce it to somebody or whatever else. Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. Like if it's a situation like that, or if it's like all right, here's the list of movies to choose from, and this is what won. Definitely. Yeah, I agree with that. So I guess to kind of clarify mine, that's where I'd be too.
Yeah. And to just agree with y'all, I do see this movie working when you're watching it with somebody who doesn't know what's going to happen. I could see that being kind of fun, you know, seeing how they react to things, seeing what they think things are, seeing if they're catching some of the clues that it gives. I could see that being fun. Watching with people who haven't. So yeah, I can agree with that.
I also do wonder if there's like going to be a director's cut when it comes out. Maybe put some of the scenes back in. But I mean, it's one of those. It's a very well acted movie. I mean, I think that this will probably be the reason why some people are finally going to understand why I like Channing Tatum as an actor. Because it also, if you watch this movie and you go, oh yeah, Channing Tatum actually is pretty good. I'm not saying he's the best, but I'm just saying he's pretty good. He can be. I mean, sometimes he does some bad movies, but he can be a good actor. And, you know, it just shows me the people that never watched the original Magic Mike. I get if you were introduced to the Magic Mike franchise in XXL or The Last Dance, okay. Are those his best acted movies? No. Are those more about him just doing some sexy dances? Yeah. But if you watch the first Magic Mike and you watch him in this, like you'll see those through lines. Like he's got it. And I'm glad that other people are finally going to see him do some of that stuff. You know, broadening that audience. Because I wasn't surprised that he could do what he did in this movie. I was like, that's the natural growth cycle from what I've seen from him. But a lot of other people were very good in this movie. I really liked it. Simon Rex, which we know from Red Rocket. Was it Haley Joel Osment? Weird seeing him all grown up and doing these things. What else is that? There's Kyle MacLachlan in this movie. What was her name, Heather? The woman that played Sarah?
Adria Arjona or Ahana. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Loved her.
Yeah, she was great.
And then the main actress, she's fantastic too. You know, this movie had a lot of really good acting. And it needed it. Like, this is a movie that hinges on that. So I'm glad she got really good talent, you know, to be in her movie. Because while you can tell a mystery with, you know, mediocre acting, it's always easier when you got good acting. Kind of, you know, because that can also cover up some of your problems. If I'm not second guessing the performances, I'm not having to, I'm not spending time on other shit. So, you know, overall, I thought it ended up being a very good movie. Especially I think where this movie succeeds is it's a watch. It's a good watch. You're not going to be mad you watch this movie. In the year of our Lord 2024, that's not always a luxury.
Sure ain't.
We've had a lot of bad movies we've watched. This has been a very bad year for movies. You know, and you know what you remember what you used to get? You at least used to get a bunch of summer blockbusters that might not have been great, but you know what? They were just, a time at the movies. And we didn't get that this year either. We're out of summer. There's like 2 movies like that. Like, what the fuck happened, man? I mean, I know Borderlands was supposed to be that, but come on, it never had a chance. And weirdly enough, like, this movie almost has that feel of just like, hey, it's that nice popcorn, mystery movie with the young hot people in it. All right. I mean, you did a lot better than, some other movies of that. I'm going to give it a 76. 76. I mean, vaping Channing Tatum's out of 100. Cinescore on this is 75.
Nice.
Yeah, perfectly good.
I mean, and I do want to say, just before we do get into spoilers, like Zoe Kravitz, I mean, she's a good actress too. Like, she could have pulled off one of these roles really well herself if she wanted to. But I just think that there's something to be said for the fact that there's a lot of very sensitive and hard subject matter in this movie. And I appreciate the way that she handled it. I appreciate the way that she, like how seriously she took some of it and just how she didn't make light of some of the things. So I just appreciate that she, in her first movie, was able to handle the subject matter the way that she did. I think it was done well.
Yeah. All right. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Spoilers.
I mean, I guess the big thing we need to talk about is the plot device of this movie. The magic trauma forgetting perfume. How does that work? It's fucking perfume.
Yeah.
Like, is the smell what does it? Is it the actual chemical in it and it absorbs through the skin, so they hide it in the perfume just to get you to spray it? What if somebody smells that shit and they're like, I don't like it, so they don't wear it, and therefore you're not making them forget shit? Also, if it's just skin shit, what if they spray some on before dinner? Or when is it that they spray it that causes it? Because they typically spray it on in the mornings. So, like, when are they forgetting this shit? It doesn't line up. How long does this shit last? Like,
And how much does it take for you to start forgetting? What if somebody just goes scoosh, and then this person goes scoosh, scoosh, scoosh? So is there a difference? Will I forget more than you? Will you forget more than me?
and then, like, towards the end of the movie, she, in the big reveal, she tricks Channing Tatum. She puts it in his vape. So he starts forgetting everything every time he takes a hit. But okay, so now it's even worse if you ingest it. If you put it in aerosol form and you breathe it in, it's more like it's that much more potent that it's just an instant memory wipe at the last 30 minutes. But then they also stress that it works the best at trauma. Therefore, the more fucked up shit you do, the more likely they'll forget about it. Even a year later, they'll forget about it because of how fucked up it is. But if you're the one committing all this stuff, you're less likely to be traumatized by it, especially at that point. You're more likely to actually be numb to it. Therefore, why would it work as well on that? But also, at the end of the movie, when she's all like, hey, Channing Tatum, I'm just going to keep erasing your memory. How the fuck does he function at that point? Because he's hitting his vape constantly. But he's not forgetting everything. He still realizes he's married to this woman. Like, it got wildly inconsistent with what it does, how it does it, all these things. And it just makes those aspects of the movie kind of messy. And then also, why is it that Viper Venom counteracts it? But like, you can drink it? Because that's one of the things. It's venomous, it's venom, so you can technically drink it. because it's not poisonous. Venom isn't poisonous. But it also works when you get bit. That's weird. Like, what exactly is the pharmacological reasons of that? And I'm not necessarily saying every movie needs that and stuff like that, but when you have it be the big, the antidote, the foil to your MacGuffin, like, something's got to track a little bit better. And like, one of the things I will say in this movie's defense, I liked how the antidote worked. That it wasn't instantaneous. It wasn't a, hey, you got your memories back. You typically needed an inciting event to trigger a memory. And that added for some really cool scenes. So like, that's what I'm saying is you can write your way around some stuff. You can have them all taking shots at the pool and they're not instantly getting their memories back. And you're able to have them slowly get their memories back later by having inciting instances and all those things. They were able to write their way around some of it. It's just, it felt like they cared about writing more around some things and not others. And there were some aspects they kind of just wanted to, in the words of Jastin, movie it away. They were just like, hey, what about this? And we're like, well, it's a movie, so let's just move on. That's fine. They didn't do it to such a degree that it made it a bad movie. And I think that that's where you get the luck. I shouldn't say luck aspect of it, but where this movie benefits. They did not do it so much that it detrimented the film and made it a bad watch. If they got so lazy with it, it made it a bad movie. That's when it becomes a real big problem. But, if you knocked your movie from, great / very good down to, pretty good, it's not the worst. But I mean, that was probably one of I did love that scene though. I really loved that scene when they're all sitting at dinner and all the guys are sitting around like, yeah, we're about to do our shit again. And those women just start remembering and just start fucking them up. It's fantastic. I loved that scene. And I really loved those scenes though. It was with Sarah and who's the main character? What's her name in the movie?
Frida. I just had it. Yes.
I really loved their scenes of them coming together. Of like, when Sarah's like, she doesn't remember, what was it, Jess? She doesn't remember Jess, but she realizes Frida does. And she gets there's something off. She sees the name on the lighter. And they start like thinking about it and all these things. And I loved that scene. When they're just like talking, like they're sitting there and they're like, man, why the fuck did we just agree to go to an island with a bunch of fucking guys we don't know? What the fuck were we thinking? I loved that scene. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was funny. It was accurate. It was so many things. Like, it was just a really funny scene. And I loved that. And I just loved their dynamic together at that point. And that's what was very sneaky about this movie. The Frida character, which is our main character, it's our point of view character. We follow her. She's got that very natural story with that. But I thought they were very good with how they co-wrote like Sarah into the movie. They gave her a lot of complexities. She seemed just like that, that bitter bitch character at the beginning of the movie, and all these things. And then she slowly changes as she just becomes like, she just lit her guard down. And so you get to see more of her as an actual person. And then she's talking about that survival show she was on. And then she's like, like, oh, they wanted to get rid of it because it was exploitative and all those things. And then later in the movie, she's like, yeah, it was, it was, it was an exploitative fuck, all those things. She was openly admitting at that. But then she's like, but I did learn stuff. Like I did actually learn survival skills on this. So while there is, you can say one thing about it, that doesn't mean it's the whole truth. And, those like things that they gave that character. It was a very interesting and very like fulfilling story arc for the side character, and who you don't think is going to be that character at the beginning of the movie. You don't think she's going to be that secondary growth character throughout the movie when this movie starts, but she becomes that, and it's a really well done with that. And I just want to comment one thing that I also loved about her story arc. That was one of the really good and well-written aspects of the mystery in this. Was early in the movie, the Simon Rex's character would call her babe. And she would just go, don't call me babe. After like 2 days on the island, after being subjected to the memory wiping drug constantly over and over again and all those things, she actually stops doing that. Like, you start seeing the effects of that happening to her character, the whole memory wipe thing, and just, and all this other stuff, where I liked how they framed it in the movie as it being part of her letting her guard down and all this other stuff, when it wasn't that. Because she still had no interest in that guy. It still had everything to do with him being drugged constantly. And I really loved the fact that it was her, like, it wasn't just, they had more or less drugged that out of her. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool way of kind of visualizing the changes, or not visualizing, but writing into the movie those effects and those little things, just as the movie progresses, to show you of some of the external changes that were being forced on those characters. Heather, what about you?
Yeah, Adria Arjona, like, she just should be in more things, like, is my takeaway from it. She was so good. Sarah ended up being like one of the best characters in this entire movie because of she surprisingly was one of the most fleshed out characters. And exactly what you said, was kind of one of those things I was talking about with, you don't expect this and you do expect this. Like, I did not expect her to be, like that secondary character that you're following, the one that's like really trying to help the situation, because you feel like she's just going to be that. I mean, I think at one point, because of how she was and like just kind of the glances she was giving over to, is it Frida? Sorry, Frida. She, I was like, is she in on this? Does she know what's happening? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because she just kind of kept looking a little sketchy. And then you realize, like, no, that's not what it is. She's just kind of like, but you learn just more about her. And I think her scenes with Frida are excellent. Like, those, some of the best parts of the movie. And even just the subtle things that they do with like their facial expressions, trying to hold it together while, they remember what's happening now. Like at the dinner table and like when they're dancing and all these things, like they are doing everything to hold it together. And from our perspective, that like they are remembering horrific things that have happened to them, and just how they're trying to like not let it show in the midst of all the other people was really good. And it was very well done, but it was also like one of those where they had a great amount of tension because of that. Because you're also like, you're not sure what's going to happen if like they find out that they know. You don't know how much they're going to give away of themselves, if they're going to buy it that they are normal or acting normal. That was so good. I think that the tension building between characters and dynamics like that was so good in this movie. And I also really liked the chemistry that Frida and Channing Tatum's character had. I forget his name in this, but
Slater.
Yeah. I think they had a great chemistry, and this is what I mean, because with Channing Tatum, I was one of those people that you're probably talking about, where I wasn't in on the Channing Tatum greatness. And to be fair, it's probably because I had only seen his not good movies. And then honestly, I started changing my mind around the time he was doing comedies, when he did like 21 Jump Street and all those. And I was like, okay, he's actually a funny guy. And then I saw him in Foxcatcher, and he was great in Foxcatcher. That was a great performance from him. So he does have it. It's just, and I think I was just kind of like slowly being like, okay, all right, I guess maybe I need to chill on how much I'm like, no, I don't like him. So, my apologies, Channing Tatum. Yeah, he is very good in this, because he's very charming. He has a natural charm about him. And it's one of those where you trust him and you want to trust him because he's a good looking guy and he knows exactly what to say to everybody that he's trying to manipulate to get what he wants, to get them to do what he wants them to do. And you see a lot of that mostly with Frida, and just how she was so swept up in anything he said and all of this. And he knew that. He was smart because he knew the people that he needed to lean into for this, whatever thing you want to call what they were doing. So he is essentially like the epitome of what you expect a cult leader to be. Like, that's just what he was here. And I just think it was a really good choice to show him really latching on to Frida, because she's the type of character that if you're looking for somebody to be a diehard follower of you and somebody that you just want to not question anything you do, she's that person. Her character was that person, because she's just like, I want to be seen. I want to feel special. And that's what he's doing. And you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to ask the hard questions because you're just like, you're swept up in the magic of going to this island and the fact that he asked her and all these things. Like, I really think they did that well. And then you just see him throughout the movie spending so much time with just her. And then you see, that's such a big part of like the jarring thing with it, at least from the perspective of Frida, because I think from the audience perspective, we know something's going down or about to, because you're just like, you have all of the red flags, my guy, you really do. But it was her like realization of what was happening that was so interesting to watch, because even as she was realizing she wasn't remembering things or something felt off, you could tell she didn't immediately want to think it had anything to do with Slater. And it's because she was just so like swept up by everything he was doing for her and how he made her feel. And that is exactly what a cult leader of a sex cult, if you will, would do. And I just think he was so good at doing those things. And even seeing the way he was with his mom, who was technically, she wasn't his assistant, but she was just always there helping with whatever. And that was his mom, right?
No, that was his assistant, Gina Davis.
Yeah.
That was his assistant.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
I thought for some reason it was his mom just because of how she was talking to him sometimes. But okay, never mind. But yeah, either way, I was like, she was treated like an assistant. But even just that dynamic of like, it was just one of those where you see like the privilege that he is living in when he, even with the chair thing, Where it was like, I don't want the chair here. I don't want the chair here. And just how he treated his assistant when he's just like, okay, whatever, like fix it, put it here, and all these things. Like, you see the way that he's treating the people who actually know him on a better level versus the people that are on the island as the guests. So it was just a really interesting thing to unfold. And it was one of those where I also didn't right away think that all of the guys were in on what was happening. I thought it was just, they were also going to be, you know, newly going into this whole thing, but they were all essentially part of it. They were all the ones doing it. And the jarring moments really come when it's, I mean, I would say probably halfway through the movie, when you see Frida having a flashback memory of all of them tied up and being assaulted. And you're just like, oh, this is where that's going. Okay, you know. But again, it's because I think that they handle like their realizations coming back to them so well in this movie. And that's important for this movie and the story they're telling. Also, kind of like what you said, Sterling, I love that they were not holding back at all after they found out. It was almost like immediately after their memories came back of what happened, they were like, no, I'm going on a murder spree. I don't care. Like, you're dead. You're done. And I loved that because it was just that revenge and that, like, they're not going to allow them to get away with it. And that was a really good, I don't know, part of the movie. It was really interesting because, you know, like, they didn't all do the thing of, we're going to pretend we don't know. We're going to pretend we don't know for a little bit and devise a plan and plot and all of this stuff like Frida and Sarah did. And I kind of liked that you saw both sides of it. You saw them trying to plan, try to come up with something to see what they can do. And then the others just being like, no, this is too traumatizing when I did remember, and we're dealing with it now. So seeing both of the perspectives of that, but also seeing that none of them were going to allow them to get away with it was great. It's great. It was excellent. It's the way it should go. So yeah, I just think that it was a kind of a women empowerment moment when all of that happens. But even beyond that, it was just more of like the nuances of the characters trying to also figure out what's going on. Because I feel like in some parts we are seeing from their perspective, at least from Frida's perspective, of like, you see the flashes, but you can't quite make out what's happening fully. And I think that was a good choice also, because when we're kind of put in her headspace, we understand her confusion, and also probably why she's like, I just must be like hungover or something. So yeah, but the movie also had a lot of good humor. Like the moment when they're trying to get the other girls to drink all of the snake venom, and just how they're pretending. And I don't know, there were some really silly moments that I thought were done well as well. But again, as I mentioned too, I'm not the biggest fan of the ending of the movie, where I will say I'm glad that Sarah lived. I was really worried she wasn't going to. But the very end, when it's, what is it, like a year later or something, they flash forward. I think it's the next year. And then, you know, you see Frida is like at the same event, and she's like married to Slater, and she's like head of the company now, and all these things. And I'm just like, I just don't know that was my favorite way to end the entire movie. I didn't necessarily agree with that choice, but because it kind of felt a little bit maybe of a letdown. Because I mean, you get this crazy buildup in that last act of the movie of everything. And then when it flashes forward to what happens a year later, you just feel like, oh, this wasn't kind of the vibe I was expecting to match with everything else I just saw. So I think that was, and I get that it's supposed to be like she's controlling him now the way he was controlling her. and all of that, like at the end of the movie. But I just think that that wasn't necessarily the right revenge route for her to take with Slater specifically. But again, that's just my opinion of it. She was just kind of doing something that would also benefit her, but also give her the control over what Slater was doing. So that wasn't, I would have been fine with a different ending, or even not even doing a flash forward to the next year. Like if we just kind of ended it where it was left, when they were on the island still, I would have been fine with them just leaving it at that. So, and a little bummed that we don't get to see what happened to Sarah after the island. If we were going to see what happened to Frida, I would like to see what happened to her. So, I think that's all I have for now, but I might jump in if I think of something else.
Jastin, what you got?
Yeah. So just everything you guys said about just how it executed tension, how it was able to do that. And yeah, from the get-go, the movie does a good job at grabbing your attention, and it honestly doesn't really let go after that. And that's one strength that I can give it, is that from the very beginning, you are intrigued by what you're seeing. When you first meet Frida and her friend, I can't remember the friend's name, but I'm talking about
Jess.
Yes, Jess. When you first meet Frida and Jess, they seem interesting. I like the banter between them back and forth. Naomi was just doing a good job. She was just really rocking it at the beginning. So you're seeing this acting, and and they seem ambitious, and she's talking about being invisible, and the manager's telling her, we don't want you to be seen as much. We don't want you, why don't you be invisible? Don't be all chatty with the guest and all of that kind of stuff. So you kind of get a sense right away with just those subtle clues. Nobody had to sit there and exposit dump who this character is. I like how they really did a good job of just giving you some scenes at the beginning to go, okay, I know what kind of person this is. And you felt like, you just felt like they did a good job of you getting to know them and everything. And it winds up being pivotal to the plot when you realize what's going on here and how they got here and everything like that, and how this drug is playing on certain feelings, certain emotions, and things like that. And that's sort of part of the manipulation when you're forgetting your memories and everything. Everything feels so right at first because on some level, these women wanted it to feel right. They wanted to feel like they were in the company of people that were cool and interested in having them a good time and everything like that. I think a part of it is that too. And so these memories are being erased, but but still you're not wanting that feeling of I'm in a good place with good people and I'm having fun. That constant question, are you having a good time? That was also cool because not only is it a reflection of what these women wanted to feel while they were there on the island alongside, and that's sort of helping the manipulation when these memories are being erased, but also that in and of itself became a manipulation. Make you feel good, make you feel like you're having fun, you're among friends, you're doing well, you can trust us, these are people you can trust, but the whole time we are then having sex with you. So the island in a sense was just a giant date rape drug, I guess you could say, in that way. So all of that was good. And, all of these are things that you gather from the story. And yeah, you guys already talked about just some of the dynamics that she had with the people on the island. But yeah, I too thought that Frida and Slater, Naomi and Channing Tatum, that they really killed it with that. Everything from just their first meeting with her dropping the shoe and then him, or falling because her heel broke, and then him coming and breaking the other heel and saying, okay, now, you can walk now, and everything like that. And so, like, which I guess that ironically is kind of a metaphor for him, right? Breaking more of, because it's like this shoe, the shoe is broken, and one solution is fixing what broke the shoe. But that choice to break the other one and say everything is okay is kind of a reflection of his character, I guess.
Well, and that is because that's how he deals with everything. It's like, well, I had trauma, but my solution is not to deal with my trauma. Just forget it. And also to traumatize other people and make them forget it. It all balances in the end.
Yeah.
Like, what's the harm in traumatizing people if I make them forget it?
Exactly.
It means that there's nothing wrong in the end.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I love that line. I mean, he was a very interesting villain. I like that line about there is no forgiveness. There's only forgetting. Like, I like the play on that because normally, the whole forgive and forget thing, the thing that people say most of the time is, oh, I will forgive, but I'm not going to forget. So I like that's normally what people say a lot, or just the whole forgive and forget thing, right? Like the hard part is the forgetting part. That's the part that people always talk about that's not going to happen. Oh, I'm not going to forget this happened to me. I may forgive this person, but I'm not going to forget, and stuff like that. So it's very interesting who the creation of this character who wanted to lean into the forgetting, like you were saying, and going, that's the solution, just like we said with the heel, or just his whole thought process of, if I can make people forget, then everything is okay. This person is not a horrible person as long as you don't remember that this person is horrible. Just that whole manipulation thing, And it also says something about, too, I think, and maybe subtly, or maybe this is a bigger point of it, some of it too. But just like how when men abuse women, or really any abuser, I guess a groomer, any kind of abuser can, I guess, do that to a certain extent. And sort of how they manipulate to a way to where you look at this person as somebody who couldn't possibly be hurting you. These things that this person is doing to me, or these things that are happening, whatever's happening to me, it must be my fault. It must be me that's doing this, because it couldn't possibly be that this person is hurting me. You hear a lot of that when a person is being abused or being groomed or being manipulated. You hear that a lot from victims. Like, when they're in it, that's how they feel. And interestingly enough, there are parts where that's what the characters felt like in this. I feel like something is happening. I feel like something is wrong, or I'm being hurt. But that's just me, right? It couldn't possibly be that these men on this island and all of this stuff is the issue. It can't possibly be them, right? It's me not having a good time. I need to relax. I need to have a good time. It couldn't be that it is them that is possibly hurting me. So I like how even that sort of was in there, you know, at certain parts of this movie. So like there are just a lot of things that this movie does effectively. But like Sterling talked about, the MacGuffin and stuff is just so vague. And maybe that's the problem. It's so vague. Like, okay, yes, your memories are erased. To what extent, we don't know. How exactly this is administered, we don't know. We don't know to what is the magnitude of the effects based on how you spray. We don't know any of that. We just sort of ignore that so the movie can do what it needs to do. So this person is going to forget what they need to forget so that this can happen. This person is going to forget what they need to forget in order for this scene to occur, in order for this to happen. So yeah, that's all of that is so muddy that it really just prevents this from being like upper echelon or perfect. But I will say this, the unraveling of what was happening was fun. I will give the movie that. The third act is, dare I say, is this one of the better third acts of the year? I mean, as far as just maybe not when you get right to the tail end of it with the ending, because I had some problems with the ending too, Heather, but the unraveling of the mystery and the figuring it out, I do think was fun. I liked everything about it. How when she started to remember things and even visions you saw at the end, the gecko thing was fucking neat. How when she got bashed and she saw that gecko, and then so she forgot all of that, right? And that was like, because she'd been on this island a year or whatever, right? And so she was brought there a year before.
Yes. So she had been there twice. It was her second time there. The previous time was the year before.
Yes. And so what was cool is when she gets bashed that first time she was there and she sees that gecko. And so later, even though the memories have been erased, subconsciously, she painted that on her nails. And that's like some crazy shit. Like that's like that suppressed memory, like it's gone, but is it really gone? Like subconscious type shit. So that was neat. You know, cool. Those little things like that, those little intricate details are neat. So see, like the storytelling is not all bad. On some levels, it's like great shit. You know, I just wish that other shit was great too. You know what I mean? It's like some great shit like that mixed with some not so great shit. But yeah, I loved all the stuff though when everybody started to remember with the snake venom. And that kind of message in there about women having to stick together because men can just be some fucking dirt bags and shit. And we need to quit competing and work together. So I like how we had a moment where everybody, when they were on the same page and knew who the abusers were, these motherfuckers got fucked up. So that was tight. You know, that was a very... go ahead.
To comment on this, the part you're directly talking about, especially towards the end, where the one thing I love about this movie is if you know, a guy was to watch this and be like, oh, look at this. They just made the men scumbags. And it shows the sheer lack of like media literacy they have when watching something like this, because you have the one guy that was like, also like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And every night they drugged him too. So it's not saying that all men are bad or anything like that. It's just also pointing out how dangerous the toxicity and can be with people like that, because what can they do? They can also victimize and bring in guys that aren't a part of that. they'll use the same manipulations on you that they'll use on women, or the same predatory behavior on you that they'll use on other people if you're not paying attention. It's showing the dangers of toxicity when it comes to some of those things. It's not saying all men are bad. It's saying certain ones are, and they can be just as harmful to men as they are women in some regards. I'm not saying in all regards. I'm just saying in some regards, they can be just as harmful. Because if you want to sit there and say not all men are like that, well, some are. Enough of them are. That's why women feel that way. It's the reason why whenever everybody was like doing that whole thing of would you rather be in the woods with a bear or a man that you don't know, a stranger, a lot of women were saying a bear. And they're like, well, and like so many guys were getting mad about that. And they're like, but a bear will kill you. Yeah, but if a bear kills you, it's because it's a fucking bear. And you know that. You know that going into it. The problem is the uncertainty. Is this guy going to be a rapist? Is he going to be a rapist murderer? Is he going to be a good guy? You don't know. It's the unknown entity that makes that the quandary of it all. Like a bear, if a bear murders you, yeah, you go, yeah, it's good. It's a bear. It's a 50-50 shot. It's going to murder me or it's going to walk away. There's 90,000 variables from the man that could be a problem in any number of ways. You know, this is kind of like a movie version of that in so many ways. Like, and it's why you just can't be dismissive of these things. You know, like you can't just be dismissive. You can't always just be like, oh, well, he was a good guy, or all. That's why it's like the argument of like, well, anytime I've been around him, he was a good guy. Okay. Have you been around him all the time? Have you been around him when he's trying to fuck? You don't know. Like it's so many things like that. That like the layers of it that they do tie into this that I thought were fantastic. And I just want to bring that up. Like that one guy that was also getting his mind fucking wiped because of, you know, he was the one guy that was like, no.
And the fact that, yeah, like you're saying, the toxic like attitude of, yeah, you just are one of those guys that just doesn't do anything, just never makes a decision or something like that, like trying to manipulate him into feeling bad for not wanting to go along with what they were doing. It was just a master manipulator. Like it was just like that. Those details were really good in that. So yeah, I was thinking of that guy too when he was talking as well. So I'm glad you said that, Sterling.
Yeah. And that whole part about him saying you not doing anything or not comply, you know, not being complicit in this is more of that toxic male shit. You know, it's just that, you know, come on, man, you're supposed to be a man, you know, you got to do it. You're a man. You know, I just feel like some of that manipulation was on that level too. And then also there's also the kind of the whole toxic thing of just not handling your trauma in a healthy way, running from it, forgetting about it. That's the solution, you know, rather than dealing with these things. It's better to not to run from those things or cover them up or manipulate or just suppress and forget than it is to deal with those things and try to, you know, it's better to do something else other than meet that trauma head on. So yeah, all of that is definitely in here. And I want to say it was the Sarah character who said at the table, was she the one who said, you know, we're always competing with each other, but we need to stick together more.
Yep.
You know, we need to, yeah, she was the one that sort of said that and made that realization. So, yeah. And so what I was saying with that part was it was cool to see that visually play out, you know, and it didn't even have to be so much, oh, we're all going to team up and do this, but just the fact that they all recognized who the abusers were and who the enemy was. And knowing who the enemy was, it just made it that was almost like half the battle. They all were gonna fight that because everybody identified what was who the monsters were, so to speak. So I like how that was done, but I also like sort of that symbolism that was behind it. And so all of that was cool. And it was horrific what they were doing. When you found out exactly what this was for and why they were doing it, it's disgusting. But at the same time, you're like, yeah, I could see some motherfuckers doing some shit like this. You know, I could see something, oh, come to this place and it's safe, and it's not. You know, it's just a fishnet for people and just creating more victims. So when you see that, it's a horrific reason to be doing this. But are there some terrible people that would go through trouble of doing this? Yeah. Yeah. Sure. So it wasn't the most unrealistic thing. So yeah, like as the movie's going and doing all of this, that whole figuring this out and the third act and the back and forth and how it came about, and you are questioning, oh man, who's gonna make it, who's gonna die? You know, there are parts where it makes you think a character's dead, but they're not quite, and you know, there was a lot going on there that was fun. So all that was great, I thought was great. And then when we get to the end, yeah, that's where it kind of, I mean, I get the female empowerment or really just the empowering kind of thing at the end where she got him and now she can erase his memories and manipulate him and took over the company and everything like that. It was a very powerful statement at the end. But again, because it relies on that MacGuffin, you're just wondering, okay, how is she constantly making sure that he remembers this? What happens if he suddenly, you know, what happens if things go the other way? You know, it just felt weird that she could just completely control him in that way. And then if you married and took over the company, wouldn't somebody question that he's doing things uncharacteristic? You know, I don't know. It just feels like that wouldn't go as smooth as you probably think. You know, it just feels like maybe there would have been some pushback or so. It just feels like it would have been very difficult to just do that.
Well,
you know,
let's assume because of what it is, he's a billionaire. It's a publicly traded company. He can't just appoint a CEO.
Yeah.
He can't just, oh, hey, this person's the new CEO. The board of directors does that. Like,
yeah,
you know, you can't just go do this, you know, especially because he would have, because like they had him step aside and, you know, step down as CEO and all this other stuff. So he wouldn't even really have that power anymore anyway, unless the argument is that she drugged all of them to do the same thing, because there is a chance that all his board of directors were, you know, visiting his island at some point, you know, because they had it being like, oh, there's a bunch of people. And she was using that, you know, her newfound power and abilities to go on a revenge tour. We saw that with what she was doing to Kyle MacLachlan's character. So, I mean, yeah, it's so up in the air. It gets weird.
Yeah. And then you're talking about somebody who has no clue about the inner workings of all of this. and then kind of stepping in and being an imposter. And, it's not the same as like taking somebody's clothes and putting a mask on and going, I'm them now. It's not really the same thing with the company. Like you said, there's so many inner workings. Do you know how to produce this stuff? Like you have the perfume now, but how do you keep a steady supply? How do you know how to produce this? How do you know the inner workings of how this was produced or who else was involved? And if he's up there in front of a board and he stops remembering things and he starts forgetting things and stuff like that, I would just think that they would deem him unfit. And there would have been somebody else voted in, and that may not have been you. Like you said, unless you're manipulating other people. But even then, that's a lot of perfume. That's a lot of supply. This would have to continue to be made. I mean, is it possible to have figured all that shit out and just work it all to your advantage? I mean, it's not impossible, but man, the groundwork and what it would have taken to do all of this.
And I love how they did do that thing, though, of he's generic tech billionaire. Like, okay, there's lots of different things in the tech industry. You know, he's just tech billionaire. But I mean, the one thing I'll say is, theoretically speaking, with the amount of perfume he had at the thing, you would technically only need to drug those people for a little bit to get them to vote for you. And then now you're CEO. And then after that, when you're taking all of that perfume and just using it on one person, the thing is like we talked about, they don't really specify a dosage. So I don't know how far that'd go. Where I would have an issue is the fact of like the delivery system of it being his vape. Like, okay, yeah, you've got this endless supply of vape liquid with this perfume shit in it, but that fucking device might break. Like, what if you're just out and about and his vape breaks or dies or whatever? Like, that happens. Trust me, I know it happens. Like, you just, does she have like a series of backup devices? Like, that's just a bad plan.
Yeah. And like you would need, and another thing I was going to say about it is, just like how he had a network of people all participating in the manipulations and everything, she would have needed the same thing on the other side. Like, sure, let's just say you, the board of directors, everybody on the side that is part of the ownership of this company. Yes, you're erasing their memories, but then you need to be manipulating them. You need to be making them think that you're the right person for this. You need to be like constantly there manipulating what's not there and what they don't remember and everything like that. And because you're not on an island with these people. These are people living lives and doing everyday things and stuff like that. You don't have them all on the island where you have easy access to them and you can have all these people manipulate them. You're going to go to bed at this time. You're going to do this. So it feels like this shit would be hard to emulate in the outside world because there are just so many other factors that you eliminate on the island. Like you took their phones away. So you see what I mean? Like when you're back in the city where people have phones and families and shit, how does this even work? You know what I mean? Like, how could you do this by yourself? You would need some people working around the clock. You would have had to have recruited a team of memory erasers, perfume people, and they'd be working around the clock manipulating these people so that you could run this company and it'd be seamless. I just don't think it would have been seamless, but movie after movie, we needed an ending, but man, the more you think about this, I'm like, that's a powerful drug, and the ability to erase people's memories is great. But beyond that, getting them to perform actions is not as easy as just erasing some memories, because you still got to manipulate actions, But anyway, I digress. But that was really the only thing. But no, man, enjoyed the journey getting there. All of that stuff was well executed. Oh, and the janitor lady, she was good too. The Red Rabbit custodian lady. There were times where you have to question her, and she was kind of creepy and kind of weird and everything like that. And then there are times where she's just kind of charming and lovable herself. So, that woman did a good job. And she didn't have many scenes. She didn't have a lot of scenes to do that and didn't really get to speak a lot, just phrases here and there. But that was good too. That was good too. I like that, how she recognized her. And that's why she kept saying Red Rabbit, because she recognized her the first time. So, all that came together really cool, man. Like I said, just there's some great shit about this. It's just that not so great shit just hinders it a bit. But yeah. But all in all, like you guys said, a fun movie overall, despite those problems.
You guys got any more thoughts about this movie? Anything else?
Nope.
On that note, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Cinema Slayers podcast. Check us out on the internet, www.cinemaslayers.com, or Cinema Slayers podcast on Facebook, Cinema_Slayers on Instagram, Threads, and Letterboxd. At Cinema Slayers pod on TikTok and YouTube. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your friends' family, tell your family's friends, and most of all, tell those dear sweet mothers, because dear sweet mothers love
Mr. and Mrs. Channing Tatum.
Fair enough. Also, give us a 5-star rating and review. We'd really appreciate it. Really help us out. Remember, we here at the Cinema Slayers podcast are pro slut, pro Sydney, pro naked. We're also pro justice for Chris, justice for Todd, justice for stunned people. So much justice. God, I feel like I'm living. Oh yeah, shout out to Plug Migo and Mundo Cho for a theme song and logos respectively. Am I forgetting something? I feel like I'm forgetting something.
Did you do Knuff?
Oh no, yes, you fans, you are Knuff. That's probably what I was forgetting. I hope that's all I was forgetting. I don't know. We have a bad habit of going super late because we're dummies. So, anyway, as I was in the TikToks, the YouTube videos, and this podcast, just remember, according to Jastin, Moon Knight is the Best Picture winner.
We did go long, con. I didn't think we would. I figured we hit right at the 2-hour mark.
You have to remember, though, we went 30, 45 minutes at the beginning in the intro section.
It was all that burger talk.
The burger talk. We're talking about burgers and pretzels and steak fingers.
It was like 40 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Don't get us started on food.
Yeah, Jastin, did you know that Channing Tatum's married to Zoe Kravitz?
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I think it's been within the past year or so. I think they got married. Something like that.
Cool. The more you know.
If it makes you feel any
didn't know
better,
that.
I
That's
wasn't
cool.
sure if they were married or not. I knew that they had gotten engaged, but I wasn't sure if they had gotten married or not.
And that about him being a good actor, I agree with that. A while back, when they were debating who could potentially play Batman, I pitched him in a chat thing, and everybody laughed. And they were like, "What, him? He can't do it. Blah 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 blah." And to this day, I think he could have.
Dude,
I mean, he's got a Bruce Wayne face. I mean, younger Tatum, he has a Bruce Wayne face.
dude,
he
he's
has
got
the looks for it.
all kinds of charm. You can't tell me that man's not a physical specimen. Like, he can do the duality of it all. Like,
Yeah,
we've
and
seen him
he's
be
got the
charming
physical
and
gifts
creepy.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we know he can act. He can be the charming person, but then he can show that darker side too. We saw it in this. So all those people that laughed at me in that comment section, God knows where it was years ago, they were wrong, man. He could have
Yeah.
played Batman.
He could have. I agree.
Just wanted to get that off my chest.
I get it. Dude, I've been railing about him like since Magic Mike, and people all think I'm weird for it. I don't get it. So, because everybody loves to hate on Magic Mike, and I'm like, you don't even know what the worst thing is about Magic Mike. And that is definitely what's his name? Alex Petalafor, whatever the fuck that guy's name is. He is the single worst thing about that movie. Like, he's the reason why I don't watch that movie as much as I kind of want to. Because he is bad.
Correct. He's terrible in that movie. Like, I'm talking, like, not just the acting, but like even his, dancing is just not good. Like, none of it's good.
Damn.
No offense, but I'm just saying.
Jastin, you don't like it either. Come on. If you not even really think about it, is he or is he not really the worst part about that movie?
Yeah, he kind of is, though.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
He kind of is, though.
Everyone wants to talk shit about Channing Tatum and all this other stuff. He's fantastic. And then you have that Alex Petalafor, or whatever the fuck his name is, just sucking so hard. Just such a bad fucking character. So, yeah. Anyway. All right, guys, I'm out.